years, visual effects or VFX workers have been mistreated by major Hollywood studios, especially Marvel. Now, they're hoping to unionize in an effort to create better working conditions for themselves because they are overworked and it appears that they have been mistreated with nightmarish working conditions. Now, Chris Lee from Vulture talked to VFX workers in the film industry, and here's what they told him, okay? Certain complaints come up over and over. The punishing deadlines, grueling work hours, too few workers charged with too much work. That seems to be a trend in a lot of companies these days. Also, the underpayment and systematic pixel effing, an industry phrase used to describe the behavior of nitpicking clients who lack the VFX knowledge to communicate their needs. Now, an anonymous production coordinator spoke to Gizmodo about what it's like to be in a VFX production house. Okay, so pay close attention to what it's like. Some of this stuff is insane. So, almost every studio has some sort of cry room where people will just go into and cry for 10 minutes and then they come back out to do their job. I have had artists who have had HR step in and say, we have to take you off this show because it's unhealthy and we're concerned for your safety. There's been fist fights in the middle of the studio. People just reach a cracking point. I've been on shows that were doing 60, 70-hour weeks for 5 weeks straight, full of people who don't see their family anymore. And that's standard across the industry. So John, there's a race to the bottom with how this hiring structure works. Before I get to those details, what say you about Marvel and about these Hollywood studios mistreating these incredibly important visual effects workers?
I don't want to disappoint you, but I think that what I'm going to say is going to be pretty common sense. Art is very important in a society, and I don't think that there's any truer, deeper art form these days than Marvel movies, and so that's the omelet, they're the eggs. How do you think it's gonna get made? I'm kidding, obviously. No, it's not It's not acceptable.
No, it's not.
It's not new. They're treated this way. VFX artists, and other coders and stuff in video games get treated this way. The people who actually make the thing, but you don't see their face, it's very easy to exploit them, especially in an industry that has a certain number of very high profile projects that you or the company that you work for that contracts to them really wants to have their name affiliated with. Then that creates that race to the bottom. So no, obviously I don't like it. It sounds absolutely terrible.
It really does. And so let me talk a little bit about that race to the bottom situation, because these visual effects workers, these VFX workers, they are not working as Marvel employees. So they get contracted by Marvel and they're part of various companies that contract out to Hollywood studios like Marvel. But since these different companies representing the VFX workers are competing with one another, they bid competitively, meaning you can hire our workers for a lot less. You get what I'm saying?
Or we'll do it in a shorter amount of time, which requires more crunch, or we'll only hire so many people for this contract.
Right, so they're known as VFX production houses that bid against each other, and that creates that race to the bottom. Now Mark Patch, a visual effects coordinator with several big projects under his belt, spoke to Vulture about his experience almost working for a Marvel show on Disney+. So let's talk a little bit about his experience. Marvel VFX supervisors demanded to see a pay stub from Mark's previous job, then undercut his rate by several $100s a week. I mean, there is no Marvel without these workers. Do you guys understand that? Like, that's all Marvel is, just a bunch of visual effects.
I would say release the cut that doesn't have any of the visual effects.
Yeah, it's nothing.
See what it looks like.
There's nothing.
Just Mark Ruffalo going like, rah.
Yeah, this is insane. The job itself would have entailed 18-hour days, 7 days a week for 3 months straight. Furthermore, Mark would have been forbidden from publicly disclosing that he worked on a Marvel project.
I'm assuming until after.
I guess, I don't know, but that's a weird rule that they had.
Especially when the prestige of having done work for them is part of the appeal, I'm sure.
Exactly.
But also I think it's probably a significant portion of the work in the industry in any given year. They're producing so many movies and so many shows.
Yes, exactly. Now Mark's experience, by the way, with Marvel is apparently pretty common. So Chris Lee writes that one visual effects worker currently employed by Marvel on a feature project estimates that they are completing approximately 4 times the amount of work they are being paid for. The minute I deliver, movie name redacted, I'm never coming back, the person says. Moreover, while understaffing is already rampant across the entertainment industry, VFX IATSE estimates that Marvel hires 1 VFX artist for every 3 such specialists another studio might for an equivalent job. So they're having 1 worker do the job of multiple workers. Again, I mean, you can see the parallels in every industry, right? Like we're talking rail workers having to deal with that, right? We're talking about visual effects workers having to deal with that in Hollywood studios. You see it across the board. Starbucks employees and baristas experiencing that as well. Now, Marvel is also notorious for being extra picky with their pixel effing requests, I guess. And so that part of it is very frustrating as well. But I'm gonna fast forward to what the workers are trying to do in order to mitigate the poor working conditions they're dealing with. And there is some progress being made. So they want to unionize, they want collective bargaining, which I do agree is the best way to protect themselves and to get better working conditions. VFX IATSE is a branch of the massive IATSE, or International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees Union, and it hopes to organize visual effects workers in Hollywood. So VFX IATSE took a big step forward last month, so I want to give you the details on that. In December of 2022, the VFX union launched its own survey to examine pay rates, working conditions, and long-term sustainability in the industry. The first study of its kind with IATSE's institutional clout behind it. The new survey aims to simultaneously build awareness from the bottom up, creating a supermajority of workers across the industry who can hold studios and vendors to a certain standard, leaving Marvel no choice but to fall in line. Now, given the overwhelming survey response, Ben Spite, an organizer at the Animation Guild and VFX IATSE, says VFX has never been closer to organizing its labor force. Is this the year we unionize? Now, Spate asks himself that question. There has never been a higher level of interest among VFX workers in the country and beyond. So that gives you a little ray of hope for these workers. But another parallel that you can notice, regardless of what industry we're talking about, is that workers are finding solutions by organizing their workplace. They realize that collective, power is much more effective than, I don't know, going to HR and complaining about the working conditions in an individual way, right? So hopefully they do unionize, hopefully they do get better working conditions for themselves. No one should be working 7 days a week. No one should be working 70 to 80 hours a week. That is insane.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not living to work. We work to be able to pay for our necessities, but life is about spending time with our families, enjoying time with our friends. We need to protect that.
Yeah, the people whose work is considered so crucial that they're constantly juggling their work versus their family life are supposed to be the people they're animating on the screen. The superheroes, not them actually. I hope that they get that super majority, that it's not undercut by a couple of VFX production companies here or internationally or something, that Marvel wouldn't do that, would fear how that would look in terms of PR. I have no idea. In theory, this could be a thing that the workers can do what they can, but then also in theory, there could be some sort of boycott. That's hard. I think that someone should do that. I'm not going to.
No, I was
we were
gonna
playing
ask you
that trailer
about
for
that.
Guardians of the Galaxy. I need to see that, but
okay,
but
pause for a
should.
second. Boycotts, don't work, okay? Like it's not an effect, it really hasn't been effective.
Well, we're right now seeing in the tabletop role-playing game space, Hasbro, which owns Wizards of the Coast, which makes Dungeons and Dragons, created a whole new, what's called an OGL, which manages how independent writers and contractors do work that can be played in their system. And the new one that they were coming out with after Hasbro acquired the system was so predatory that people started canceling their subscriptions to the online system D&D Beyond, and lots of creators on YouTube were putting out videos attacking the change, and celebrities who produce content for the system did the same, and they have backtracked and they appear to be changing course.
The invisible hand of the free market.
It was actually a really impressive effort.
Okay, so I guess in some cases a boycott could work if there's enough backlash, but labor power is more important, so they should organize, and it looks like they're doing that.
Just to play devil's advocate, I think that Marvel is in kind of a hard spot here because—
Are they?
Well, they might want to pay more, but these movies barely break even. They're passion projects. Really, I don't think they make money on any of these things, and there's no merchandising opportunities, so what are they supposed to do?
Yeah, I mean, again, parallels.
The bad ones make $400 million. And I don't really think any of them are bad, but like you might.
I think most of them are bad, but it's just taste, it's just taste.
This phase has been amazing.
Huh?
This last phase has been really good.
Last phase?
Phase of movies.
Whatever. I mean, look, I'm glad they exist, okay? Like people get real upset when I say I'm not into Marvel. I'm just not into Marvel.
Just come to Ant-Man.
But I'm not judgmental toward people who are into Marvel. I get why people are into it.
Let's see Ant-Man.
But there is no amount of marijuana I can consume that'll make me enjoy a Marvel movie.
I think we can find that amount.
I don't know, let's do an experiment.
Okay, let's go to Ant-Man. I'll bring some gummies.
We'll see how it goes.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.